This online resource is aimed towards Year 5s as they are intended to estimate, construct, and measure angles and degrees using appropriate tools including a protractor and relate these measures to angle names. This resource allows students to read a protractor to determine angles and to be able to measure and identify angles by their appropriate names. For students to get access to the resource, they need to search up bow and angle ABCya on the Google search bar. Students then click on the first link to get straight into the resource. To get started on the game, we first click on the yellow play button. Students come across the main menu of the resource and they need to get through the tutorial first before getting started on the adventure. In the tutorial, students read the short text of angles to refresh their memory. The text touch base on the vertices, protractors, the inner and outer scale of a protractor, and the different types of angles with their names and the degrees of those angles. Once the texts have been gone through, a yellow play button appears to get started on the tutorial. In the center of the top border, it asks the students to measure a specific angle. Students keep hold on the right click of the mouse to maneuver and adjust the bow to measure the angle. The angle will be shown yellow until students correct the correct angle to then turn green. Once students have made the correct angle, the designated angle on the border changes and students measure out the new angle. Students have an unlimited number of chances to measure out the angles correctly. If students need help with the tutorial, there is a question mark button near the top right corner. This button allows the students to go through the text from the beginning of the game to refresh their memory without restarting the tutorial. Once the tutorial is completed, a yellow arrow appears to return back to the main menu. The adventure component is now accessible for the students to play. Before getting started, students have the option to choose their own characters to take part in the adventure. Once students have chosen the characters, they click on the yellow play button to get started. A short text appears to give instructions to the students on how to play the game. Once students have read the instructions, they can click on the resume button and get started on their adventure. When the characters are faced with their opponents, they are given a degree for the students to measure out to aim their arrows to defeat their opponents. If the students' measurements are incorrect, then the characters lose a chance. When the characters are being targeted by their opponents, they need to be able to read the angle and time before the aimed arrows reach the character. On the protractor, an angle is shaded in yellow. Students need to use the digital keypad to click on the appropriate numbers to create the correct degree. If the degree is written in time, then the character is able to dodge the arrow. If not, then the character is hit with the blow and loses a chance. As the game progresses, students are given less time to read the angles on the protractor and need to measure more precise and more difficult angles. Throughout the whole game, the characters are given 3 chances before the game is over. Students can either return back to the main menu or retry. When the adventure component is completed, free play is now accessible. Students can decide to either change the characters or keep it the same, clicking on the yellow play button to get started. Students are given a time limit to get the characters to aim the arrows at the moving targets. When the characters aim at the common moving targets, they gain a variation of points, the most common points gained being 100. Another target is the moving golden coin. When targeting the golden coin, students gain 300 points. Birds are shown as distractions. If an arrow is aimed at the bird, then 300 points is deducted. As students engage in this resource, it develops on their understandings of measurement and geometry as they are required to read the angles of the aimed arrows in order to succeed in the game. This resource also strengthens the capability in critical and creative thinking as they analyze and interpret precise measurements of the angles in order to aim accurately to defeat their opponents.